Welcome to the Better Together Here podcast with your hosts Devin
and Ashley,
helping you make the most of your time in New York City. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Better Together Here podcast. My name is Devin.
And my name is Ashley.
And in this episode, we are going to tell you 7 essential items that should be on your New York City packing list. And almost more importantly, we're going to tell you 3 items that you should not bring to New York City. So let's get right into it. This New York City packing list that we're going to give you is actually going to be for all seasons, all weather, all times of the year. Okay, the first one, and arguably number one in order of importance.
Definitely the most important, I would say.
Comfortable footwear. You're going to do a lot of walking in New York City. Even if you take Ubers, you take the subway, you bike, you're going to end up walking. Because even when you take the subway, you're going to get off at your stop, possibly walk 2, 3, 4 blocks. You do that a few times, it adds up. Odds are when you're here in the city, if you're coming from the suburbs or a non-large city, you're going to end up walking way more than you normally do. You don't realize how little you actually walk most places because you drive everywhere. And you drive, park right next to your destination, walk in, that's it. But it's not like that in New York City. You end up doing a lot of walking, so prioritize comfortable footwear.
Also, even in New York, when you're at your destination, let's say you're going to a museum, you will walk miles just inside that museum because the museums here are huge. So you definitely want to pack comfortable footwear. Trust us, take our word for it. Prioritize comfort over fashion when coming to New York.
If you know you're going to go out to a nice fancy dinner or a show and you do want to have a nicer pair of shoes or whatever it might be, that's fine. But for your everyday wear while you're exploring the city, wear something comfortable. And wear, ideally, if you can, something that is water resistant or waterproof. Like we've talked about on previous episodes, New York City rains all the time. 35% of the days throughout the year it rains in New York City. So if you can have footwear that is more water resistant, even better. Which leads us to point number 2, which is weather appropriate clothing. So again, it's going to depend on the time of year that you're coming, but I would say almost any time of the year, even in the summer, bring some type of rain jacket, even if it's just a shell, because like we've discussed, there's a lot of rain in New York, and having something that is going to be able to keep the water off you and keep you more dry in the event of the wild rainstorms that come through New York, you're going to be very, very happy that you have it. And of course, know that in the winter, it gets very, very cold. So bring layers, bring scarves, bring gloves, those types of things. Again, a beanie, yes. Again, depending on when you're coming, find weather appropriate clothing. We're going to take a quick break to remind you to sign up for the Better Together Here newsletter. We email once a week with important things that you want to know about New York City, the best places to eat, the best things to see, the best ways to get around, all the things that you want to know once a week. So go to bettertogetherhere.com/newsletter and sign up today.
Number 3 on our list is to bring a bag, fanny pack, or a backpack. You often are not going to be spending a lot of time in your hotel or Airbnb. You're going to be out and about all day long. So make sure that you have some type of bag. If I was going to recommend one, I would recommend a fanny pack just because it's small, it doesn't get in your way, and you can carry your essentials without having to carry too much extra stuff. But it's nice to have something to be able to carry your essentials around with you while you're out on the town all day long.
Especially, too, that some places, if you try to bring a big, bulky backpack, there's just not going to be a lot of space to store it or bring it in. So opt for something smaller, but still something that you can have to keep all your goodies with you. The 4th on the list, this is the one that is going to be more of a safety thing, and that is pepper spray. You actually cannot buy pepper spray in New York City, except for a couple places, which is bizarre, but it's good to have pepper spray. And obviously, if you're flying and if you're going international and not checking a bag, that can be a challenge. You may not be able to bring it, but if it works out that you are coming and can bring pepper spray or some type of similar self-defense weapon, it's good to have it because New York City is a big city, lots of people, things do happen. You want to be able to protect yourself in case you need to.
Especially on the subways, it's just nice having that peace of mind, knowing like I have something in case something happens. If I need to create space between me and somebody that is maybe being hazardous, I can create space and get away.
And now we're going to switch gears to this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment, which is Craft and Carry. Craft and Carry is a craft beer store that has multiple locations throughout the city. The nice thing about Craft and Carry is that you can go in and have a beer. You know, they have a few things on draft. You can buy some cans. It's a fun, usually kind of hip spot with cool music playing, and you can get good beers, but you can also buy beers to go, and you could take them back to your hotel or to wherever, to the park or something like that. And they have a very wide variety. Most of them you go in and it's got 7 to 10 of the large drink coolers, and they'll be categorized by where they're from, or if they're sours, or if they're IPAs, and there's just a lot of unique options.
It's a great spot to go if you want to try something new and want to like branch out, and you can try a lot of like beers from like different locations or different types of beers. So it's a really cool spot. If you are a beer lover or new to the world of beer, it's a great spot to check out.
Yeah, so look up Craft and Carry. There are locations all throughout the city. There's some in Midtown, there's some in Chelsea, there's some on the Upper West. Look it up. Definitely worth checking out. And back to the packing list. All right, fifth on our list is an electronics/portable charger. There are a wide variety of options for this. You can do the types of chargers where it has the different plugs, where you can just, connect any device that's like USB or whatever. There are some that have the actual cord for an iPhone or for an Android built into it. The bottom line is, when you're in New York, again, in a lot of instances, you're going to leave your hotel in the morning and you might not come back until the very end of the day. And being able to charge up your phone is important, especially because we're huge proponents of using Google Maps. It makes getting around a lot easier. A lot of things you're going to need to have your phone for, whether that's showing tickets to a Broadway show or scanning to unlock a city bike or whatever it is. So you
calling
need
an Uber, you're going to need your phone.
Yeah. So
the
you
whole
need
time navigating around New York City.
Yeah. So make sure that you have a portable charger to keep it juiced up. And on a similar note, a portable water bottle. It's nice to have a portable water bottle because, again, especially depending on the season, but I would say April through September, it's going to be a bit warmer, and being able to go to many of the water fountains throughout the city and fill up your water bottle is much better for yourself, for your pocketbook, for the environment, than having to buy water bottles over and over at bodegas or street carts that aren't very cheap. So bring a portable water bottle. We have a full write-up of this kind of episode that we're talking about on our website, and we link out to some of our favorites. We have a really great portable water bottle that we love that actually collapses to just about the height of
like a deck of cards,
yeah,
almost.
Yeah, about the size of a deck of cards, and then expands completely. And it's very lightweight, easy to store and travel with.
And you can attach it with a carabiner to said fanny pack or backpack that we recommended earlier. It's a great thing to have.
Exactly. And the last item on our essentials packing list that should be in your bag is a compact umbrella. Most people don't want to lug around a big umbrella, especially in the summer. That kind of might seem useless, but as we have discussed, May, June, actually some of the wettest months in New York City. So don't think that because you're coming in the spring or even the summer, you're going to have nice sunny days. You probably will, but then you will probably have 12 hours of absolute downpour. So having a compact umbrella with you is going to be not a lifesaver, but a game changer.
I will say New York City has some of the craziest rain I've ever experienced. I would say each day when it's going to rain, there's usually like a 20 or 30 minute period where it is quite literally raining cats and dogs, where it is raining hard and fast. And if you don't have an umbrella and a rain jacket, you're going to get absolutely soaked. So prepare for the worst.
Yeah, and a lot of the items on this list really coincide with how wild the weather can be in New York City. When we talk about the umbrella, when we talk about weather appropriate clothing, even water resistant shoes, if you can, like all these things, just trust us. It's probably going to rain while you're here. So be prepared. All right. So those are the 7 essential items that you should bring to New York City. We're actually going to tell you 3 things that you should not bring, because I think in a lot of instances, you can end up being just as frustrated by the things that you brought and didn't need to as the things that you didn't have and wished that you did. So number 1 is pets. We are the biggest dog people. We have 2 dogs. We moved to New York City with 3 dogs. We love animals. We love pets. New York City is not the place to bring your pet on vacation. It's just not. You're going to be walking a ton. You're going to be going into shows and restaurants and museums, and you can't bring your dog in there. And the other option is to leave your pet in a hotel, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Obviously, if you have a service animal or a specific reason that you really need your pet, understandable and makes sense. But in the vast majority of instances, don't bring your pet to New York City.
New York City is just kind of a wild place, especially the first few times that you come. So I just wouldn't subject your pet to that unless you're going to be moving to the city and they need to get used to that. It can be kind of a stressful spot for dogs. I know our dogs were initially like a little bit overwhelmed when we first moved here, and it took them time to get comfortable. But I wouldn't subject a dog or a cat or a lizard or whatever animal you would want to bring to New York City to that type of chaos.
Which, speaking of, little funny sidebar, we were at a great dumpling spot down in near Chinatown a couple weeks ago, and a guy next to me had a bearded dragon on his shoulder.
Inside of the dumpling place?
Inside of the dumpling place, which I frankly didn't appreciate, number one, but also...
Oh, I love that. I love that energy. That's like only in New York.
But in the restaurant, like, is that... He had like this like terrarium for it too, which I don't know.
Just take your lizard to a dumpling spot. You never know where you're going to see downtown.
This just in.
Mark my words.
Only bring your lizards to New York City. No other pets.
Yeah, lizards can handle it. Cats and dogs, no.
Definitely not. All right, number 2 on things you should not bring, expensive jewelry. And obviously, again, this kind of goes back to like prioritizing comfort and function over fashion. I wouldn't say I'm the most fashionable person on the planet. I get it. I get if you want to like be wearing your nice jewelry and have it out for a night out on the town or whatever it might be. But know that, number one, that makes you more of a target for people who do want to cause problems and or rob you or whatever it might be. And it's just easy to lose things too as you're exploring New York. And I don't know, it's just better safe than sorry to not bring really expensive jewelry on your trip.
I would say most of the time when I'm out, I'm not wearing my wedding ring, like my like nice engagement ring. I'm wearing like a silicone ring or like a cheaper wedding band. It's not the spot to be, especially if you're going to be riding on the subway. It's just not the spot to like have your like most prized diamond ring that's very sentimental to you, because you never know what's going to happen. So if that's a concern for you, leave it at home.
And the last on this list, on a very, very similar note, is you don't really need large amounts of cash. Most places in New York City are going to take a card. There are pockets of the city and certain establishments that are cash only, but it's New York City. If you are from the United States, odds are your bank has an ATM probably within a few blocks of where you're staying. Even if you're international and you need to pay the fee or whatever it might be, but like, you don't need to bring large amounts of cash. And even if you are going to walk with cash and have cash on you, I personally like never want to carry more than 40 or 50 bucks of cash with me, just because, you know, if something were to happen and someone were to come up to me and want to take money from me or whatever, I'm not going to put up a fight. And so I'm going to give them what I have, and I'd rather only give them 20 or 40 bucks versus you've got a couple $100s in your pocket. And yeah, it's usually not a necessity and not worth bringing large amounts of cash, again, because it can draw attention to you. When you pull out your wallet, there's a big chunk of cash in there. It's like, it's just not attention you need to bring to yourself.
Yeah, New York City is not the place where you need to bring your hundreds. Most places that are cash only are not even going to take $100 bills. But on that same point, like Devin said, I do think that it could be advantageous for you to have like $30 to $50 of cash on you just for tipping people, or if you need to pay a cab really quickly or go to a dollar slice pizza spot. Like, it's good to have some cash, but don't have more than $50 max.
So we hope that this helped clarify what you should and should not bring to New York City. As part of your experience in New York City, like we've talked about, there is a lot that goes on with trying to get around. If you have not already, definitely download our free New York City navigation guide. It goes in depth on getting to and from the airports, hailing taxis, navigating the subway, how to navigate uptown and downtown to know if you're walking in the right direction. Truly a quality guide that will help you maximize your time in New York City. If you have not already, please also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify, all the places that you're listening. We genuinely appreciate it. We respond to every email that we get. We look at every review that we get, and we appreciate every single one of them. And other than that, we'll catch you on the next episode.